Favorite month as a Memphian is what?
May.
Adopted Memphian. May? Okay.
How about you?
This one.
April?
I'd go April, September, Southern Heritage Classic in September, and then May. But this one sort of starts the, hey, we finna get turned this summer type stuff going on. You got it. It used to be, and maybe forgive me if I'm mistaken, but it used to be Africa in April, and then boom, festival season in Memphis, and every weekend from Africa in April through like October, there was a festival going on during the weekend. Now, like festival season started, I guess yesterday, two weeks ago, and there's multiple festivals happening on the same weekend. It's so much fun.
And the weather is
And right now the weather is solid. This weather is good.
Shout out to that game being at 2:30, home by 6:30, even with the new double post show on Grind City Media. You can find it after every game coming up through the Grizzlies postseason. Was able to go up on my roof, sit, have a nice little glass of wine, look at the river, look at all the foot traffic of the people who were down at the food truck festival, who were at the game, just trouncing around downtown. Good crowds, good energy. And it was beautiful. Watched the bridge in the distance, the pyramid. It was just a perfect night. It was lovely to sit outside. So I'll take this into May, and then it really crescendos in May.
What was the song?
Say No Go, De La Soul. It's a great song. Good driving to work song on a Monday.
Okay. Roll the windows down.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Say No Go by De La Soul.
All right.
When do I have to eliminate one?
I think you got to eliminate the next one at the end of this month, because you eliminated one before April 10th.
Okay.
And so you got to eliminate one.
I have time.
Yes, you have time.
Thanks.
There have been a lot of good
busy weekend. Did you have a busy weekend?
Not super busy.
Oh.
I need to get out in the yard some more. I got out in the yard and did some stuff, moved some mulch around and that type stuff.
Oh, I love moving mulch. What's up, everybody? It is a Monday, April 14th. It is going to be a good day. Jessica Benson with you from the Grind City Media Studios in Memphis, Tennessee. CJ Hurt behind the glass coming up on today's show. The regular season is over. The NBA postseason is here. The Grizzlies are in the play-in tournament. They will face the Golden State Warriors. We will hit it all, including highlights and reaction from a very fun regular season finale at FedEx Forum. A look ahead to that play-in game against the Warriors and the other matchups around the NBA. Gary Parrish will join us about 40 minutes in to continue the conversation. I also wonder if he cried during the Masters, because I did. As emotional of a win as you could get with Rory McIlroy finally getting it done. We'll get into all of that. We'll end with some Hot Mess Express. The Balls and their quarterback split up over the weekend. The NBA Iron Man list should have an asterisk this season, and a little Coachella beef. We'll get into it all. It's a Monday. You know what we say. I have a joke. You ready?
Come on. Let's go.
What do you call a Grizzlies rib?
A Grizzlies rib? Mm-hmm. Bear cage.
Barbecue.
No.
That was on the season premiere of The Last of Us.
No. Why would you share that? You gotta keep that to yourself.
I wrote it down.
Grizzlies fans know it's the team that gives you the edge. Big River Steel does too. And much like the Grizzlies have recruited legendary talent, we want you to be part of our team. Are you ready to be part of something legendary? Then visit www.bigriversteel.com. That's www.bigriversteel.com.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, want exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season? Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item, whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing compares to catching your Grizzlies IRL. And that all starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight. Put that jersey collection to use for the next game and get Grizzlies tickets at Ticketmaster. Whether they're here at FedEx Forum or on the road, Ticketmaster's got your back when it comes to scoring tickets. And there's no better brag than saying you saw it live.
The new issue of Slam, the cover dropped, and it is our friend Jaren Jackson Jr. On the cover.
And shout out to you, Lane.
Yeah.
You kept, well, I mean, we knew about it, but you kept this a secret the whole time. So shout out to you for
I wrote this story.
together.
We did the photo shoot a couple weeks ago here on a Sunday afternoon in the practice court. The Sneak Fest show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
Debo traded from San Francisco to the Commanders for a 5th-round pick. There's no other sport where you would get a player of his ilk for a 5th-round pick.
Over under total yards for Debo. If they set it at 1,000, you think he hits that over?
Total yards?
Total yards from scrimmage, total yards.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The Odds Couple, live at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Feels great to feel the sunshine. Gotta own the day like it's all mine. Just got paid in his own time. Been working hard, I've been on the grind. I deserve this feeling, having my way. I've been on this healing. This is my day. The sun's out, let's have a little fun now. I wanna let it all out. That's what it's all about. Cause I deserve this feeling of having my way. I deserve this healing. This is my day.
Grind City Media presents The Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt. Live from the Grind City Media studios on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
What's up, everybody? Happy Monday to you. I hope you all had wonderful weekends. And CJ, you want to know what's more fun than losing? What? Winning. And we got a regular season win to cap this off for the Grizzlies. Let's hit the highlights right off the bat. Grizzlies, game 82. We come to this place for magic. We come to this place for Yuki Kawamura. No look over the head dimes to Marvin Bagley III. Excuse me? Excuse me? Showtime Yuki activated. John Morant giving him the joggles. Yuki in his bag, his knapsack, his fanny pack, his suitcase, between the legs to Cam Spencer, who hits the 3. And the zombie Grizz are rolling the zombie Mavs. Up 19 in the 3rd. Move over Katy Perry because Lamar Stevens is going to space. Stevens with a career high 31 points. The Mavs were feeling like Oprah because you get a career high and you get a career high. Yuki, give him the 4-point play. He sparks joy. Career high 12 points for Yuki Kawamura. Another career high, that would be 6 steals for John Conchar as he finds Cam Spencer. The runner put the Grizzlies up 29 going into the 4th. Spencer, a career high 23 points. Grizzlies would be up 35 in the 4th. Jaden Hardy with the nope from Jay Huff. He had 6 blocks. That tied a career high. And never forget Jay Huff, the reverse dunk king. He also had a career high, 22 points. And as Sesame Street told us, sharing is caring. And the glass agrees. Another Steven slam. The Grizzlies end the regular season with a 35-point dub, 132-97. The final over the Dallas Mavericks. CJ, dare I say, that was the most fun I've had at FedEx Forum in weeks. Watching a Grizzlies team made up of 8 players who more than likely will not be at least major contributing factors as the postseason begins, because we do turn the page from the NBA regular season. That was game 82 of 82. The Grizzlies are now looking ahead to the play-in tournament coming up on Tuesday against the Golden State Warriors, and we'll, of course, spend the bulk of our time on that because that is what matters moving forward. But I had a great time at FedEx Forum yesterday, and that was not guaranteed because I walked into that game not really knowing what the experience would be like. And instead, it was a highlight factory. Like, ultimately, the Grizzlies back of the bench is more fun and more talented than the Mavs back of the bench. And some Mavs players, like rotation players, were playing last night. I thought we were going to see Daniel Gafford go off for a 40 bajillion point game based on how that thing began. But the Grizzlies picked up steam in the second quarter. The Grizzlies have Yuki. The Grizzlies have Jay Huff. They have Lamar Stevens. They have Marvin Bagley. They have Vince Williams Jr. They have John Conchar. The only player who had kind of a rough game, Gigi Jackson, which was such a bummer. He hit a 3 early. I was like, oh, yes, this is the confidence booster Gigi needs. And instead, it was another tough one for Gigi Jackson. But ultimately, the Grizzlies get a win. Does it matter? Not really. But I had a great time watching it.
Was it Sparks Joy?
It sparks joy.
Okay.
The Marie Kondo method.
All right.
You want to know what she says?
What?
If it doesn't spark joy, you throw it away. And that game sparked joy. So I refuse to just throw it away, toss it out with the trash, and move into the playing game.
So that was the phrase that pays?
Yeah. No.
No.
Oh, no.
No, it wasn't the phrase.
Knapsack.
Knapsack.
We've had it for like 4 games.
Knapsack. Oh.
Luke, with the word of the highlights, knapsack.
Okay.
I've written it into 4 highlights of the Grizzlies losing. So we finally get it in the end. And Yuki was in his knapsack, in his bag, in every sort of carrying vessel. The second he threw that over the head backwards pass to Marvin Bagley, like, I think I almost jumped out of my chair. Like, I was visibly amped to see it happen. And that is the last game for Yuki. Last game of the season for Cam Spencer. The two-way guys cannot play in the postseason, so that was the end of the road there. And it was kind of fun. It was like a throwback to early in the season when the Grizzlies would just unload the bench, and you're like, wow, this is the deepest team to ever exist. And of course, things have transpired in a different direction. But shout out to those guys. And honestly, like, it was Fan Appreciation Day, and I understand why many fans were frustrated. And I heard from a lot of fans yesterday because they had tickets to yesterday's game. It's an afternoon game. A lot of families were coming over to FedEx Forum downtown Memphis for the regular season finale. And there had been a buildup over the last few weeks, like, oh, this game could really matter. And especially just the Western Conference vibe as a whole, like, all those games really mattered. Watching the Warriors-Clippers game, I mean, the Western Conference seeding came down to an overtime game, came down to the final minute of an overtime game between the Warriors and the Clippers on who was going to be stuck facing the Grizzlies in the play-in tournament and who was going to advance straight to the postseason. And so it all leads to this game between the Grizzlies and the Mavs, which technically mattered. I mean, there was like a sliver of a chance if the Timberwolves had lost to the Jazz, and by God, they flirted with at least making us believe that perhaps the Jazz, who didn't play anyone and had 17 wins this season, might come out and shock the world with a win over the Timberwolves, but they ran away with it in the second half. That was the only way the Grizzlies could avoid the 8 seed and would have had the opportunity to host the play-in tournament 7-8 game. And so they just decided that the risk was greater than the reward, and they sat all their rotation players, no Ja, no Dez, no Jaren, no Edey, no Santi, no Scottie Pippen, no Luke Kennard. And you kind of look ahead of being able to run into that game Tuesday with fresh legs. And I get it if you showed up and you were bummed, but to the credit of the 8 players who were available, they made it an enjoyable experience. Like, it might not be what you signed up for, but you cannot. Where were you when Yuki went between the legs? I'll be able to say I was at FedEx Forum, and all the people who were out there yesterday will be able to share that same sentiment. It all got to that point because the Grizzlies lost the game to the Nuggets on Friday. Like, since we last sat here, the Grizzlies lost to the Nuggets, which all but secured that they would be in the play. Well, it did secure that they would be in the play-in game. Like, they went the last 6 minutes of that game. They scored 1 point. You can sit here and say it was a horrible scheduling situation for the Grizzlies, and it was. They got into Denver at 4 a.m. on Friday morning, or they got in around like 2:30. Got to their hotel at 4 a.m. They had the game 7 o'clock Denver time, 8 o'clock Memphis time, Central time. And by the end of it, like, they were gassed. Like, there was nothing left in the tank. You're playing in altitude. You're grasping for air and life, and they were lifeless. And I still don't understand why Desmond Bane threw a behind-the-back pass late in that game, but that is the case that it was. You were also watching that game. Like, what were the Nuggets from 3 in the first half? Did they have remember. 1?
Yeah, they didn't shoot the ball well from 3 in
and
the
they
first
were,
half.
and yet the Grizzlies were only up 5. It felt precarious. Like, the Grizzlies' lead in that game felt precarious, and then it ended up playing out that way. Like, Jokic wasn't having a great game, and Jokic takes over down the stretch and does what best player in the world player does. And I kept going back to that quote from him where he was like, oh, yes, sometimes when you're vulnerable, you're the strongest. And I'm like, oh, God.
Listen, they had the rest on their side, right? Rest.
Oh, I
not
thought you said the refs. I was like,
rest,
what?
Rest on their side. And that's just sort of how it goes sometimes in the season. You can circle that game just like you can circle one of the two games against the Nets, just like you can circle the game against the Trailblazers, just like you can circle the games that they lost here to start. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, when they went, was that February or January when they lost those 2 games at home? 3 games at home on last second type stuff happening.
It was the beginning of March.
It was
the game against the Knicks was the last game of February.
Okay.
And that's also when you were the 2 seed for the last time.
And so you can circle any number of those games and point to and say, man, if they had just won or if they had just found a way here or there, things will be a bit different. Here's the thing, though. Everybody can do that. The Rockets could do it. The Lakers could do it. The Nuggets could do it, right? Everybody can. The Timberwolves.
How about the Warriors, who just, if they hadn't lost to the Spurs this week,
everybody
can
point to something this season, a handful of somethings this season, and say, hey, if we just didn't, we could have. So I don't see much value in doing that or stressing about that because it's happened. You made your bid. Let's go land it. Let's go find a way to win in Golden State, damn it. A team that hates you and you hate them. They are the old guard. You are still the plucky team, where I think the Grizzlies feel a bit better playing as the upstart, as the underdog. They like that. They've got that mentality. They love doing that. So go out there and let's see what you got going on, man. Hadn't won in California all year. You struggled against the Warriors the last time you played them. Like, let's see what you got.
Okay, well, the last time they played them, Steph Curry scored 52 points. And the Grizzlies were still in it.
If one of those...
And the Grizzlies were still in it.
If the Grizzlies could have held Steph to 47, what would have been?
I'm looking ahead.
What might have happened?
All the national talk shows have already moved into the Warriors will play the Rockets in the first round. Like, that is the analysis that is coming out of the Warriors' loss to the Clippers yesterday. Draymond Green botched a layup. Was trying to go for a foul call on Ivica Zubac, which they don't call. That was bad. For some reason, they didn't have Steph Curry shoot the last shot in that game because the Warriors were down 3 in overtime. Would have had a chance to tie the game. They gave it to Buddy Hield, which I just thought was a bizarre. I'm watching it on a screen here while we're doing the new double post show following the Grizzlies game. The DP show. Every Grizzlies game day the rest of the way. We'll see how many... We will
do you see how
many we have.
Now? Do you see what you do to Chris now?
Yeah, I apologize for all the jokes that I made. But I will say, one, we're a house divided again because Chris Luther, Golden State Warriors fan, who desperately wants to be cheering for the Grizzlies in the postseason, is now forced to be a loser and be a villain in his own city. Who would choose such a thing? He didn't want it. I didn't want it. But I did actually kind of want, of all the bad case scenarios, and when you're a team playing like the Grizzlies have played over the course of the last few months, every scenario is a bad case scenario in the Western Conference postseason outside of the 9-10 game. And even then, like if you lose to the Warriors and you have to play the winner of the Kings-Mavs game, it is no guaranteed that the Grizzlies are going to find themselves in a first-round series. But a couple of weeks ago, I did come to the conclusion that the best case scenario in a room full of bad scenarios was the Golden State Warriors in a play-in tournament type situation. Or at the time, I mean, it could have been Warriors could have gone all the way up to a 3 seed, Grizzlies could have been the 6 seed, however it was going to work out. Just because there is some vulnerability to this Warriors team, and you saw it yesterday, and I know they have been on a whole different level since trading for Jimmy Butler, and the record with Steph and Jimmy playing together speaks for itself. Playoff Jimmy is a very real thing. It was activated yesterday. Jimmy Butler did get hobbled down the stretch. They say he'll be fine. Draymond Green is a little banged up right now. Steph Curry's a little banged up right now. Like, if you want to stand on something, this Warriors team is old, and they could have used the week off. They really didn't want to play in the play-in game because they needed rest. So if you're the young Grizzlies, yeah, you fly across the country. You finally get a win in California, which they haven't done this season. And that's where the counter of, I could see in an elimination game the Grizzlies having a chance. I could talk myself into, because hope is a hell of a drug, I could talk myself into the Grizzlies in a one-game situation being able to come up with a win and propel themselves into a first-round matchup against the Houston Rockets. But I do have to do some mental gymnastics with that. Like, let's just be honest, because you have to say things like, okay, let's look at the last time the Grizzlies and the Warriors played. Step 1, don't give up 45 points in the first quarter. Well, they give up big quarters in a lot of games. Step 2, don't let Steph Curry score 52. Well, they allow players to go off pretty regularly. Step 3, somehow beat an above 500 team at full strength. We've got one of those in the last 2 months because the win over the Pistons did not have Jalen Duren. So you got to go back to the win over the Milwaukee Bucks back on February 2nd. Somehow winning California, something they haven't done. Like, you haven't done any of these things. The Grizzlies have not won a big game. We were doing this exercise going into the show. I was willing to call their win over the Rockets when they had lost the first 3 to the Rockets. They host the Rockets. They finally were able to beat them. Rockets were without Alperen Sengun in that game. The Grizzlies were without Ja Morant, so both were undermanned. But you could make an argument that the only big game this team has won this year is the game in Boston. And that was back in December. So you're asking all those things to just squint a little bit and say, you know what? I think the Grizzlies have a chance against the Warriors. Do you find any chance for the Grizzlies?
I think
against
the Warriors are small, and Zach Edey has seen taking advantage of smaller teams, right? Like, you think about the rebounding tear he's been on and his general presence and the force that he's been playing with here recently, particularly against smaller teams. I think that is an advantage for this Grizzlies team. So if they win, it'll be in large part because they just have much more size, where Edey and Jaren are able to take advantage down low, forcing the Warriors to collapse a bit more than what they want to. And then you've got open shots for Desmond Bane. Ja Morant has been making threes at a pretty, just watching it, I don't have the numbers pulled up in front of me, but Ja Morant has been making threes at a pretty high rate just watching it. So for Ja, and then if Luke Kennard decides he wants to shoot the ball, Luke Kennard can get some open looks, Santi can get some open looks, and that would be the way to go about doing it. That's the way to do it. Will it happen? Let's see. I don't know.
Let's play the game,
as they say. Let them go out there and give it a good old try. I will say, I can be impressed by this team still after months of nothingness, mostly after months of me resigning myself to the fact that some of the dudes on this team just aren't capable of carrying enough of the weight to get them where they want to get to. So the burden falls on the shoulders of Ja, Jaren, and Dez all of the time. And if they aren't spectacular, if they aren't having magnificent games, if they're just playing pretty good, that's not going to be enough. A win against the Warriors in this type of an environment, in a play-in game, on the road at New Oracle. I don't know what the hell the new place is called, but New Oracle. Center. Yeah, sure. Why not? That's impressive. That I would be very, very impressed, and I think that it would change the way that we view the season, right? You go out there, you get that win. I think everybody holds their head up a bit higher, and then you get a matchup that there aren't good matchups in the Western Conference, but you get a matchup against a Rockets team that is a completely different matchup than what it would be potentially against a Thunder team if you won the second game. So, I think that I know I can be impressed if they go out there and beat the Warriors. Will they do it? Let's let them go out there and play.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk more about the Grizzlies-Warriors play-in game tomorrow. That is a 9 o'clock start time, local time. The warm-up show on Grind City Media will begin at 8 o'clock. When my second part of my workday starts at 8 o'clock, it's a problem. But this is the playoff time, and I am ready to be all jacked up on coffee, and I am ready to believe in the Grizzlies, to believe Memphis. And I do agree with you, CJ. I think it could help heal some of the wounds of this season, which I know is just a play-in tournament game. I get it. This team was, repeat with me now, this team was the 2 seed. You're now in the play-in tournament. That is a tough thing to have to cope with. We'll get into it all when we come back. Plus, Gary Parrish will join us in just a few minutes here this morning. Wow, that was a brain break right there. Just take a break. We'll be right back.
We touched on this earlier, the panel here, about what really has been the mainstay of the Grizzlies, and that's Jaren Jackson Jr. Trip has just been awesome.
He's posting guys up. He's stronger than he's ever been. He's physical, and he's scoring all type of ways.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizz Beat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
Grammy, Academy, and Golden Globe award-winning superstar, Mary J. Blige, live in Memphis. The For My Fans Tour, live at FedEx Forum Saturday, April 19th, with special guests Neo and Mario. Get tickets now at livenation.com. The iconic Mary J. Blige for one night only.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
Tony was the defensive guy, but Zebo was the offensive guy. So you could speak to this. It's way worse when you're getting doubled, right?
You got triple. I had went through that for it. When I was in Portland, you had me on the team. You got triple. You hear me, Rose? You can't talk about those. You got to talk about triples. You got triple team.
This man was scoring on 3 dudes.
Swing, T.A.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
I never in a million years would have ever thought that John Cena's final run would be as a heel.
I love it.
I love it.
Once they saw this from The Rock,
they knew it. Everybody knew it except for Cody, which was so good.
Great camera work by WWE.
And then the kick. Yeah, I don't think WWE gets enough credit for the camera work and the production quality. I mean, it is incredible.
Tune in to Grind City Wrestling weekly on the Grind City Media app and on the Grind City Media YouTube channel.
Grizz Nation gets set for tip-off 1 hour before every Grizzlies home game with the warm-up show. Get the latest news, notes, and analysis live from courtside at FedEx Forum.
Who's going to be the tougher team that rebounds and prevents second-chance opportunities?
Join me, Lang Whitaker, along with Michael Wallace, Jessica Benson, and other personalities from Grind City Media, Memphis, and around the NBA. 1 hour before every home game, live at Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
The Grizzlies open as 7.5-point underdogs to the Warriors in the play-in tournament. So nobody believes in the Grizzlies. No, truly, I was listening to the Bill Simmons podcast this morning. They were already talking about the matchup being between the Warriors and the Rockets in the first round. I was listening to the beginning of Get Up on my way out this morning. They were implying that the Warriors are basically all but sure to move on to the first round. So everybody doubts the Grizzlies, which I think you're right, CJ. That is a position where they have felt more comfortable in. So that's a good start.
Because they don't handle expectations. Well, which make
great
that what you want.
Expectations make
them
an
crumble.
unfulfilled Grizzlies team. It's true. I mean, even watching the game last night, we were talking about it before the show, there were no expectations for yesterday's game, which is one of the reasons why it felt so fun. It felt like a preseason game. It felt like everybody out there, for those guys trying to prove that they still have a future in the NBA or a place for them. To see Marvin Bagley, to have the Marvin Bagley hive standing up and saying, look at this double-double, look what Marvin Bagley could do. I thought Lamar Stevens, in terms of taking something that you could potentially foresee as maybe a wrinkle that the Grizzlies throw out in this postseason. His physicality has stood out time and time again. Like, you don't need Lamar Stevens. It was cool to see him go off for a career high 31 points. It's always fun to see career highs, and to get that many in one game was unique. I would assume that's the most career highs I've ever seen simultaneously set in one game from a team, or at least a team here. But from the Lamar Stevens standpoint, he's been a consistent defender. Like, where would you rank Lamar Stevens on best defenders on this team, post Jalen Wells, post Brandon Clark? I know it's don't tilt your head like that. Like, I'm asking you to.
Like, he's not good. They're not good. They don't have good options.
So I'm asking you,
where am I ranking him on these terrible, awful options of defenders?
Well, Jaren is a good defender.
I guess I'd put him third. I guess it would go Jaren, Vince, him, I guess. Like, is there somebody else I could throw in there?
But I know you're a Scotty. I'm not trying to throw you as a Scotty hater, but
you're throwing me all these grenades, John Morant Jr. Like, come on, man.
It's an honor.
You know what? You know what I am.
Okay, that is part of. We haven't even talked about from the Grizzlies Warriors standpoint, or haven't heard anyone talk about it. The hate is there, the buildup is there, the playoffs. But even as recent as, who's the team that put all of the emphasis on the finger gun celebration to begin with? It was the game against the Warriors. Like, without that game, well, I guess we have to thank them, because we've now gotten one of the greatest.
And
everybody's doing it.
Everybody is doing this goofy celebration.
The influence of Ja is everywhere. Saw it on the football field this weekend.
They're doing it in rugby.
Did the Showboats win?
Yes. No, did they? They messed up my parlay, is what I know. I had them under the 34.5. They lost 17-18. 19-18. They lost 19-18. So they're getting better. They're getting better. They're going to get close.
But anyway, you're seeing it in the UFL. You're seeing it around the NBA. You're seeing it in AAU.
Florida
seeing
player
it in
was
baseball.
doing it. Baseball, Memphis was doing it. Yeah, like, okay. All right. So, yeah, they don't like each other. Back to the question, where do you have him on this
I put him in fourth.
Behind Scotty?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think from a curiosity standpoint, if you were looking for anything to take away, the playmaking from Vince yesterday, I thought we saw flashes of what the hope had been for Vince Williams to be. And again, like, I get it. We're talking about the zombie Grizzlies playing the zombie Mavs. Like, it's a scrub v scrub matchup. But from a confidence building opportunity, some of the rebounding, Vince Williams had a double-double as well. There was a rebound he had in the fourth where he just, like, snatched it around the body of whoever was down low for Dallas. And I said, oh, like, those were the kind of plays that I expected from Vince Williams coming off of last season.
Has he made those plays against anybody worth it this year?
That's my point. I'm not trying to make something that it's not. It's just a matter of, the question was simply, is there anything to grasp onto from a meaningless game 82 as you go into this postseason opportunity?
No.
No, and I agree with you, because the bottom line is, either the big three is going to carry them to a win, or they're going to lose the first play-in game to the Golden State Warriors, and then they're going to have a difficult, not guaranteed matchup against either the Kings or the Mavs.
Yeah.
Not the Suns. The Suns are dead.
That's who it's on. That's who's the game is on.
Jaren Jackson Jr. cannot get in foul trouble. You cannot allow.
Jaren Jackson Jr. cannot get in foul trouble. John Morant can't let his emotions frustrate him and take himself out of the game. No, I don't think there is a defense design in this league that can take John Morant out of a basketball game. What can take Ja out of a game is him. So he's got to have the right mentality. Desmond Bane can't try and do too much. Play within yourself. All right? For those three, it's kind of that simple. Can't be trying to throw behind the back passes if you're Desmond Bane. You can't be over dribbling if you're Desmond Bane. All right, you can't do that. You can't, like you said, if you're Jaren, attempt to contest recklessly everything. Not only attempting to contest recklessly everything, you can't be getting fouls 90-something feet from the rim, 40-something feet from the rim. All right, you can't be getting the dumb foul calls. All right, like those are things that those three have to work to avoid, and they've got to go for 95, 100 points. I don't know who's going to get you 40. I don't know who's going to get you 50, 30. I don't know how the breakdowns got to be.
You do. It is a better matchup for somebody. I agree. They have to get 90. But, like, Santi had a good game in the last game against the Warriors. It is a matchup that trends better for Asante Aldama. Even Rosa brought up yesterday on the double post, if you remember, Steph was flamethrowing that whole game and then struggled a bit in the fourth quarter. Like, I remember watching.
Steph left the game. It looked like he was injured and done.
Yes.
Like he comes
And
out
they
in the
put
third
Scotty
quarter
on him.
and left the game.
Yes.
And what does that mean to me?
He played him with a level. When Steph has to face physicality, Steph struggles more. I mean, he's Steph. I almost swore. He's Steph Curry.
Well, he is Steph effing
He's
Curry.
Steph
Like, what are
effing
we
Curry.
doing?
Like,
it doesn't matter who they throw on that man.
Yes.
I don't think that it does.
Okay, so you sell out and you say, Brandon Pajemski, go beat us. Like, if you're going to lose to Brandon Pajemski, you're going to lose to Pajemski.
Why would you lose? You can sell out and try and stop Steph. This team can't stop anybody.
Well,
They're not going to stop Steph even if they sell out to stop Steph.
It has to be.
They've got to go for 150 and pray they hold the Warriors to
Okay,
148.
so that's where you need every single point to matter. You need
don't-
Desmond Bane to hit a fair number of threes. You need Santi Aldama to give some
Luke Kennard's
contributions
got to
off the
shoot.
bench.
Can Luke shoot, please?
asking a lot.
He's got to shoot. Santi's got to come through big also. Yeah, like this game here for the Grizzlies is going to be about can we simply outscore these dudes? Because there's no defense that's going to be played. We don't have the defensive fortitude, and the Warriors just don't match up with us well because we have too much size. Specifically,
And you got to keep the size on the court.
Keep the size on the court. Edie's got to go out there and get tap outs to give the Grizzlies extra possessions because if you're just hurling the ball at the rim, you're going to miss a lot. So Edie, just get up there.
A lot of threes, a lot of long rebounds.
Just smack that shit back out to somebody. Just smack it back out there. You got to float kind of around the 3-point line on shot attempt so you can get the tip out from Edie and see what happens from there, man. I don't know.
He had 16 rebounds the last time they played.
Yeah, it was in the midst of his stretch. It might have been the first game of his stretch where he started.
No, the first was the
Lakers. So it was
with
Lakers
11.
and then them.
Yeah.
No, it was Lakers, Celtics, and them.
But he got in foul trouble, barely played against the Celtics.
Well, they weren't undersized either, I don't believe.
That is my only argument for... I completely understand why they rested their players yesterday. It's the last game of the season. You're all but guaranteed to have the 8 seed. You have fresh legs. The Warriors did have to play. They had to play an overtime game, and they already get to stay at home. You have to fly across the country. I don't know what happens on those flights to California, but whatever it is has led them to a place where they can't beat the Warriors in California. They can't beat the Lakers in California. They can't beat the Clippers in California. They can't beat the Kings in California. They don't do well flying to the opposite side of the country. So we'll see how that goes. They even struggled. They lost to the Trailblazers in Portland. So maybe it's just the West Coast vibes all around for the team this year. That said, I would have loved for one more game of consistency building because it's not like we've seen this team play an excessive number of games this season where everybody's available. And you're also still playing for an interim head coach in Tomas Isolo, who's only coached 8 games up to this point. So from a standpoint of if you could have just put a couple more reps together going into the next one, and I get it too, there's some gamesmanship element to it because you're playing the Mavs, and the Mavs are sitting Anthony Davis and Klay Thompson, and PJ Washington sat out yesterday. So you don't want to show everything in case you face the Mavs in the second play-in tournament. Yeah. But I wouldn't have hated to just see some more reps for this team. And more reps for even Ja, Jaren, and Des. In the grand scheme of things, those 3 have not played an excessive amount together, and they are still growing. And I do think in order to look at this season as anything but a disappointment, like a win over the Warriors in the play-in tournament cleans up a lot of things from this season. I'm not sitting here saying everything's perfect, honky-dory, let's just run it back for next year. But from a feeling standpoint with those 3, you never want to waste a year with your big 3. What did Jacob say? You had a visceral reaction to what Jacob said.
I'm trying to figure out something you said. I'm sorry for throwing you off.
No, you're fine.
Is it hunky-dory?
Hunky-dory.
Okay.
Or is it hunky-dory?
I think your people can say hunky-dory. I think my people have to say hunky-dory.
You can't say honky?
I don't think I can. I think George Jefferson ruined
It's
that for us.
hunky.
Yeah, I thought it was hunky-dory. Yeah.
My whole life I've said honky-dory because I'm...
Well, hey, to each his own. Hunky-dory. And you said that first one, the honk part, you leaned in on that one.
Opinions differ on where hunky-dory came from. One view is that it derives from hunky-dory, spelled Hunkidori,
Yeah.
a breath freshener introduced in 1868. Another opinion is that it originates from a street in Yokohama frequented by American sailors called Hunchodori, which translate broadly as Main Street.
But even the huncho is H-U-N, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all with a U.
Yeah, hunky-dory.
Wow, the more you know.
Hey, got to stop
Anyway, the season was not hunky-dory.
There we go.
Let's be perfectly clear.
There we go.
Like, even one play-in tournament win does not magically transform. You don't take the magic wand and say, oh, I think everything's A-okay moving forward. But it does represent, like, okay, great. They were able to bring it together. Somehow get a win over the Warriors.
There's something here with this roster.
There's also something therapeutic about beating that team.
Beating that team would be so very, very
demon cleansing
for this fan base and for the franchise. Yes, it absolutely would. But it would prove that there's something there with this roster. And maybe it just needs a slight tweaking and a bit more maturing and aging. Right? If you go out there and you fall apart completely against the Warriors and you fall apart again completely at home to either the Kings or the Mavericks, then it is, oh boy, this doesn't feel redeemable at all.
Yeah.
This feels like the house is on fire and has burned all the way down. You can't salvage much of anything. But you go out there, you beat the Warriors, it feels so, and then you have a competitive first round. If 6 games at least, right? And you're not getting blown out at all. Then it feels like, hey, there's something here with this roster. We just need to figure out what it is and how to better utilize them and their skill set and their talents. The team has been better defensively. Some of that might have been competition, but they've been better defensively since the coaching change. They haven't?
I wouldn't say they've been better defensively.
Nobody says that. So maybe I'm wrong.
That might be the most like generous thing that you've ever said.
I think they've been better.
Okay.
I think that they are.
Where were you when the Grizzlies just gave up the largest quarter of the season in the NBA?
Which team they do that against?
Oh,
that wasn't the Warriors. Who did they?
It was just the game against the Timberwolves here on last Thursday.
If they slow it down, they are slightly below average defensively, right? If they slow it down,
I don't know, man.
I'm trying here. I think they have been. What's been the team totals their past 5-6 games?
Okay, well, we're not counting yesterday because that's going to skew the results.
Don't count yesterday.
I mean, the Nuggets scored 117. The Timberwolves scored 141. I'm
not
counting the Hornets.
What the Hornets scored?
The Hornets scored 100.
Okay.
I'm not counting that.
All right, so I was right.
The Detroit game was ugly as hell.
What did they score?
103.
Okay, keep going.
The Miami game was
What
also ugly as hell.
What did they score?
108.
Okay, keep
But
going.
anytime they play a functioning offense, they give up a big number. Then they allowed Golden State to score 134. The Celtics scored 117. The Lakers scored 134.
What is... I can't get a gauge on what a good defense is supposed to allow in today's NBA. I'm going to assume if you're giving up less than 120, 115, you're fine
I'm going to go on vibe, and I'm going to say defensively, bad.
Yes, I agree with you.
Do they have a single point of attack defender?
No. But the issue I had with them defensively was that they were playing way too fast, and it allowed for a whole bunch of possessions on the other side.
That's fair.
I guess that is my larger overall point is they've slowed it down some, and defensively, it looks kind of serviceable at times.
If you're going to beat the Warriors, here's my score prediction. If the Grizzlies are going to win,
forget this Warriors
they are
game.
going to win 142 to 136 in a shootout.
No, it's absolutely.
I'm sorry. Can we call it a shootout? That feels loaded.
Call it a grenade out. It's fine.
Grenade off.
A grenade out. Because there's no
call
problem
it
with
war,
that.
because that's what it is.
Yes, I think you're right. We're both in agreement against this Warriors team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying if you beat this Warriors team and you go
to face the Rockets.
To face the Rockets, 6 games, something like that, nobody gets blown out. There are things you can grasp onto to say, hey, this roster might not be as bad as we think it is, or some think it is. And defensively, Jessica, I think you can say, hey, look, defensive.
I think if you were looking for anything this offseason.
We don't have a single point of attack defender. Once we get, all we need to do is
Stop
get
me if
one
you've
of
heard this
those
one before.
and then mature someone, we're good to go.
You want to know what I found myself doing this morning?
What?
Like listening glowingly to a Matisse Thybulle postseason interview. I was like, oh, he had a nice second half. Like, what? Like, that's where we're at defensively. Like, can we find anybody who you can throw out on the wing and find some confidence in?
Get this win over the Warriors. And then you just look at Jessica.
And then you play a Rockets team that has all of them on one team.
You read off the scores, Jessica.
Mm-hmm.
You can squint your eyes and say, hey, you know what? I squinted. This team might be a defensive team. We're one stopper away on the perimeter from being really, really good defensively. Look at what Scottie Pippen did on Steph that one time for that one quarter when he was real physical.
He had 52 points, but I only saw the fourth quarter, and I think he was 2 of 8.
Yeah, hey.
He was 2 of 8.
But you got to squint when you say that.
That's how it works.
Squint real good.
All right, we'll take a break. We come back. Gary Parrish is going to join us. We'll talk about Rory's big win at the Masters yesterday, and we'll get GP's thoughts on the Grizzlies season, which, hey, they won 48 games this season, so we can squint again. 48-34. That's a good record in a non-play-in tournament situation in the NBA. 48-34. Considering it felt like they lost 6 billion games down the stretch, 48-34, still a pretty good record. In the West, it's only good for 8th, and you got to play in the play-in tournament. That is the matter of fact. We'll talk to GP about the Grizzlies play-in tournament odds, how he feels going into tomorrow's game against the Warriors when we come back. Tomorrow.
Creed. By overwhelming demand, the Summer of '99 tour returns. July 27th, FedEx Forum. With special guests 3 doors down. And Mammoth WVH. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Creed returns, the Summer of '99 tour.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, want exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season? Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
Tony was the defensive guy, but Zebo was the offensive guy. So you could speak to this. It's way worse when you're getting doubled, right?
You got triple. I had went through that for when I was in Portland. You had me on the team. You got triple. You hear me, Rose? You can't talk about those. You got to talk about triples.
You got triple teams.
This man was scoring on 3 dudes.
Swing, TA.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
I never in a million years would have ever thought that John Cena's final run would be as a heel.
I love it.
I love it.
Once they saw this from The Rock,
They knew it. Everybody knew it except for Cody, which was so good.
Great camera work by
And then the
WWE.
kick. Yeah, I don't think WWE gets enough credit for the camera work and the production quality. I mean, it is incredible.
Tune in to Grind City Wrestling weekly on the Grind City Media app and on the Grind City Media YouTube channel.
Debo traded from San Francisco to the Commanders for a 5th round pick. There's no other sport where you would get a player of his ilk for a 5th round pick.
Over under total yards for Debo. They set it at 1,000. You think he hits that over?
Total yards?
Total yards from scrimmage, total yards.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The Odds Couple, live at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
We we touched on this earlier, the panel here, about, what really has been the mainstay of the Grizzlies, and that's Jaren Jackson Jr. Trip has just been awesome.
He's posting guys up. He's stronger than he's ever been. He's physical, and he's scoring all type of ways.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizz, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
All right, welcome back. It is a Monday. That means it's time to catch up with Gary Parrish, host of The Gary Parrish Show. Weekday mornings at 10 a.m. on Grind City Media. GP, how was your weekend?
Awesome.
Good.
We were just talking about it. I was just telling you off air how awesome it was, wasn't it?
Watching youth baseball.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it.
Well, I think there's some things like it, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's a wonderful way to spend a weekend.
I had a friend celebrated her 30th birthday, which was a beautiful way
That
to
also
spend a
sounds
Friday
great.
night.
I remember
went
that.
to another wedding.
Oh, wow.
On Saturday, back-to-back wedding weekends.
Okay.
Another gorgeous wedding. Shout out to Katie and Craig, big Grizzlies fans, and they got married downtown.
So we all have our stuff going on. You're at
We all have
the
stuff.
age where you have weddings every weekend, and I'm at the age where I have youth baseball every weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
I don't know.
different points in life.
It feels like everyone's getting married.
Yeah.
There is a surge right now.
There's a surge in
We were
marriages?
originally supposed to have another wedding 2 weekends ago.
Oh, wow.
But we had to fly to San Francisco for a memorial, so we had to be
Sure.
a late cancellation.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have been back to back.
That's a turkey in bowling.
It is.
Mhm.
And in wedding attendance. But I will say, I was happy that the Grizzlies game ended up being as entertaining as it was,
Mhm.
because I really did want to sit and watch the final round of the Masters
Sure.
yesterday, and being able to track it throughout the game. And then we were sitting in here during the double post during the playoff, but was able to watch the final moment
Sure.
of Rory finally doing it.
Right.
And sinking the putt. He could have missed it. We know how he goes.
I mean, he shouldn't have ever, but he could have.
But he could
certainly.
have, and he collapses to the ground. And I got emotional.
Yeah.
Did you get emotional watching Rory win it?
I don't know how you couldn't if you have a heart
I
at
agree.
all. It's first off, it's just a special sports moment, but beyond that, like, it's an important moment for him. If only because the alternative would have been, I think, devastating. Not like earthquake kills 11,000 people, devastating. I mean, you always have to put it in those terms because somebody was waiting to tell you on social media, like,
There's
well,
more to life.
yeah, there's more to life than golf. I got you. But for him, particularly if he would have lost it the way he could have lost it, given the way that final round went, he would have had to answer for that nonstop forever and possibly never actually got to experience this thing that so clearly meant something to him. I don't like watching people struggle. I don't like watching people fail. Like, I root for people, genuinely. I got my own flaws in other places, but I don't like watching people struggle. I would have felt sick for him. I know he's got a beautiful wife and a beautiful daughter and more money than he could ever have. And broadly speaking, he's the top 1 point, whatever. But that would have been a hard thing to have to carry around. And I preferred for him to not have to carry that around. So, yeah, it meant something.
Yeah.
It was a big moment, and I'm glad it ended the way it ended.
I mean, it's so interesting with him because he's inarguably great.
Mhm.
But you have that 11-year drought, and so you start to wonder,
You have
is
to.
he ever going to do it? I saw somebody point out with Tiger Woods, there was an inevitability to it.
Right.
It wasn't a matter of if, it was just a matter of when.
Until Tiger's body failed him,
Yes.
the next one was never too far away.
But with Rory, it turned into more of an expectation of, oh, here we go again. I mean, yesterday, he double bogeys the first, oh, here he goes again.
But that happened like 5 times yesterday.
Yeah.
And
He's the first to ever win
with 4 doubles.
with 4 doubles, and also the first since like 1990 to start with a double, end with a double, and still win. End before the playoffs.
That's right. And I mean, there's these very basic shots that, let's go to, I guess it's 18. Beautiful drive. I mean, it's perfect. It's set up for him. This is basic golf. Like, you could, I don't want to overstate my ability, but like, you could put a ball where his ball was, and I would feel pretty comfortable. Like I'm going to get this in a decent spot. Like, he just puts it right in the bunker. This is the best player in the world, outside of maybe Scotty Scheffler, and I'll let others debate that. But he's on 18. You need a par to put the jacket on. The ball's in the middle of the fairway. This is nothing. I mean, on a Saturday with no cameras, with his daughter running around blindfolded, he finishes this hole, no problem. So at that point, I don't have the exact numbers on it, but for the sake of the conversation, you'll get the point. Like 9 out of 10 times, he's just going to put that on the green and 2-putt. 9 out of 10 times. This time he puts it in the bunker. Even in the bunker, on the broadcast, they say 9 out of 10 times he's up and down from here. This is no problem. The chip's not bad. And then it's like, okay, this putt, 9 out of 10 times he'd make this putt. Then he misses the putt. Like he 3 times in a row in a situation where, broadly speaking, 9 out of 10 times he would have handled this. He couldn't handle it. So mentally something happens to him, but also he is capable, and I find this fascinating, of snapping back and making the most amazing shot under
the trees.
All of it. He would cover the worst shot under these circumstances you could imagine for a person of his ability, or even a person of like any of those guys' ability. The worst shot you've ever seen. How did this happen? And then literally the next hole. That's the most amazing shot you've ever seen, whether it was on 15 or 17. It was a roller coaster of a round, and certainly wasn't the most beautiful round he's ever played or anybody's ever played. But if you're looking for drama, you can't find anything more compelling than what you watched yesterday.
Well, and it made it feel so authentic.
Sure.
Like, so authentically Rory, because you were destined to, it felt like you were destined to have the moments of, oh no, here we go again, mixed with, God, this is why he's amazing, mixed with, oh no, he's really going to let this one. We're going to a playoff. Like Justin Rose is surging. It wasn't even the day starts and it's Bryson DeChambeau's coming for him, and then he falls off, and it's not even him. So it's not even the situation that you anticipated to be the thing that perhaps keeps him from getting this thing that has evaded him for so long, and then he still ends up doing it.
Like there was
beautiful.
nobody there to stare him down.
No.
Like Bryson.
It's just here.
Yes, it was just him. He was just playing himself.
Yeah.
Like Justin Rose is not going to walk you down. I mean, Justin Rose is amazing, but he's not going to walk you down.
No.
There was nobody there to take it. He just had to get to the finish line, and he like tripped over and over again, but he got there, and it was a sweet moment. Everything about it, and the way, I thought the way CBS handled it, like there was just
no words from the broadcasters.
But that's intentional.
Yeah,
obviously,
so good.
It's just intentional. Just like let this speak for itself, and that's the type of place you want to let it speak. When you have that type of, it's a perfect combination. You've got that kind of star, that kind of emotion, and that kind of backdrop. You don't need words. Just let people watch it and experience.
There's a pureness that comes with it,
Sure.
and like one of the things that stands out, because it's hard not to in our phone-obsessed world, is there's no phones. And that's by design. You're not allowed to have your phone at the Masters. You can bring your old school cameras, but you can't have a phone. And so when everybody's watching him make that final putt and he falls to the ground, the shot is him, and everybody's present in the moment. And I don't want to sound like a old man shakes fist at cloud, but there's something really beautiful about that. From the letting it play out on the broadcast sense to just imagining people there who will always be able to say, hey, I watched Rory finally get it done. And I watched it with my eyes. I didn't watch it through a screen. I wasn't distracted. I wasn't trying to get this moment to post on whatever social media platform later. Like, it was just me there, and we just don't do that anymore. There are very few places in this world where we still do that. For me, the longest time it was the theater. Because it was still such a taboo to ever bring your phone out. And I brought my phone out for the first time at a show last spring. I saw Jessica Lange in a play called Mother Play. And I wanted to remember, I saw Jessica Lange today. And I swear she saw my phone and made eye contact, and I was like,
that's right.
And I was embarrassed by it. But you're seeing that more and more. There's like less of a, this is a bad thing. If it's the curtain call, you get away with it. Masters is one of the last bastions of, like, you don't get your phone. You got to be here.
I think it's great for all the reasons you just said. I don't know if it's practical in many other walks of life. And this is one of those where I struggle with it. It's one of those things, I don't think this is unique to me, but it's probably not. I know what I should be doing, but I don't do it. So, like, I know that there's something pure about experiencing these moments and not being consumed with seeing it through your iPhone so that you can share it with other people. But do I do it literally every time? Of course I do. I've got a million videos in my phone
that I barely ever go back and
But I do sometimes go back and watch them, and I enjoy them, and so I actually like that I have them.
Yes.
But I also know that it would probably have made for it would definitely made for a different experience had I not been worried about, am I capturing something with my phone as opposed to just capturing it with my mind?
Yeah, but it was like counter argument, the Villanova shot at the
Yeah.
Final Four. Like, I don't think I was recording it, but Chris was recording
Sure.
it. And it's a video of me like collapsing into like his arms and my mom's arm. And we're just, and it's that moment that ends up something that I reflect on more than
You remember
more than the
that
shot.
video more than you remember the actual, what
Yeah.
we all watched on CBS
Yeah.
or whatever. Right. So like,
So there's a positive thing with that too.
of course, right? It's not all good or all bad. It is unique to have that experience in the year 2025. And one of the only places you will get it is at Augusta National during the Masters Week.
It was fun to watch. It was the second time that a grown male, great athlete, made me cry in the
Yeah.
last week because Luka Doncic made me cry while he was watching his return video because
Sure.
he cried
Yeah.
and Rory cried and then I'm crying and I just think it's vulnerability is a beautiful thing. We should all cry more.
I think I could probably cry too much.
You cry a lot.
I'm a crier.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
a crier too.
Yeah.
I wasn't a crier.
I get emotional in different ways.
Yeah.
Like both happy stuff and then like sad stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll get emotional that I'm sitting at game 82 of the Grizzlies with like Lamar Stevens and Marvin
Lamar
Bagley going off.
Stevens and Marvin Bagley
I'm
have
like,
never.
oh, the season.
Neither of them have ever brought me to tears. Those aren't the things that pull my emotional strings.
My mom called me last night and she said, the two players that you interviewed after the game, can you tell me about them? I've never heard of them before.
Yeah,
And I said,
yeah.
well, that is the stats that
That's
we
where
are
we're
at.
at.
But one of them had a career high and one of them was the number 2 pick in the 2018 draft.
Sure.
And maybe this is the time for Marvin Bagley. Watching the Grizzlies yesterday, that game doesn't have a whole lot of meaning
Yeah,
in the
it doesn't
long
matter.
term.
Right.
It was fun. Like, it was genuinely a enjoyable watching experience because it was just a highlight factory and they had nothing to play for, so there was nothing to lose, and
Sure.
those guys were out there. And that's a simplification of it. The players who played yesterday have careers to play for.
Sure.
And so being able to put on tape, like, hey, we can do this against the Mavs end of the
Yeah.
bench is an important piece for them. But we immediately turn to Grizzlies Warriors.
Right.
Have you talked yourself into it yet?
That anything's possible in a 48-minute basketball game.
I love it.
Where
Great start.
somebody's going to take maybe 53 pointers. Sure, I could see anything, but they're sizable underdogs for a reason. So I always I could talk about hypotheticals a million different ways. Let's just talk about the most likely way this plays out. You lose Tuesday, come home Friday, win that game, and now you're in a best of 7 against Oklahoma City, and that is over in 4 or 5 games. Like that's run all the probabilities. That's the most likely scenario, and it just stinks. It just stinks to be in this position, and it didn't have to be this way. And I guess there'll be a million different explanations for how you ended up in this spot. Some of it's going to be, John not being available as often as you need a franchise point guard to be available. Some of it's going to be Brandon Clark and Jalen Wells getting hurt and suffering, certainly in one case, a season-ending injury, and in the other one it appears to be. Some of it's going to be, depending on your perspective, them keeping Taylor Jenkins too long or firing Taylor Jenkins at all. Whatever you think about that. All of that can play a role in how they ended up in this spot. You know how they ended up in this spot? From the jump, they
lost 2 games to the Brooklyn Nets?
Not even that.
Okay.
Because people lose basketball games all the time for basketball reasons. They de-emphasized the regular season from the jump. And they did it with the mindset of, I just think broadly speaking, everybody got too cute with everything. Hey, what if we don't play our best players as many minutes as the other team plays their best players? I'd stop right there and say it doesn't sound smart to me.
Hey, what if we don't run any pick and roll?
What if we don't maximize or prioritize one of the most unique basketball players in the world's skill set? Okay, it doesn't sound smart either, but they got too cute. They decided we're not going to maximize our starter minutes. We're not going to play our best players as many minutes as possible. And for multiple reasons, but one of them being so that you can be ready and fresh and all that stuff for the postseason. You feel fresh. You feel ready. This is what you did. The Grizzlies, John Morant, Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., obviously they're not available every game. But those 3 players, on average this season, combined to play 92.2 minutes per game. This is a league where typically you try to copy the best. The best has been, at least recently, the Boston Celtics. They're the reigning champs, at least. They have the 3 great players, too. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Derek White. Those 3 players this season averaged 104.6 minutes per game. That means, on average, the Grizzlies' top 3 players per game play 12.4 minutes per game fewer than the Celtics' top 3 players. Let me ask you a question. You watch all this stuff. Do you think it's possible, just by playing your top 3 players when they're available, as many minutes as the Celtics played their top 3 players when they're available, do you think it's possible that could have been worth one more win somewhere?
I think so.
Okay, well, then you're not in this situation then.
Right.
You know, one more win gets you to 6th.
Right. And there's a difference between modeling after the Celtics and not asking it to go full Tibbs effect, where guys are playing 40 minutes a game.
I didn't bring up the Knicks.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. So there was a happy medium
Of course.
somewhere in there.
Do you think that just by playing your top 3 players 12.4 minutes per game combined, the way the Celtics do,
Right.
you think they could have got you 3 more wins?
Probably.
That gets you up to 3rd.
They already have 48.
You're
Gary.
not in this situation.
It's not
I
like
would
it's not like
rather.
the West was decided going into Sunday. The West 4 through 10, 3 through 10. No, 4 through 10 because the Lakers clinched the 3 seed earlier this week. 4 through 10 was to be decided on Sunday. So
They finished 1 win short of 6th, 3 wins short of 3rd, 5 wins short of 2nd.
Right.
You'll never convince me if you'd have just approached the season the way most teams approach the season, including the reigning champs, and that means playing your best players as much as they can reasonably play. You will never convince me you would be something avoiding the play-in.
Right.
As it is, you, in your approach, created a situation where the most likely scenario is you're going to get embarrassed on national television 4 times by the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's the situation you created. This entire season, barring a surprise, and I'm open to the idea of surprises. In fact, I'm hoping for one. If you want me to pray, I'll do that too.
Thoughts and prayers?
Thoughts and prayers. But your approach
Did you put them on the plane? I think the plane leaves today, so you can bundle up some thoughts and prayers.
Okay.
Peace and peace.
Put them on the plane.
Put them on the plane because
Sure.
they need them.
Take them with them out to San Francisco. You'll never convince me your approach to this couldn't have gotten you another win or another 2 or another 3.
Where you're not sitting in
This entire season, barring a surprise, will be remembered as a disappointing/lost season after a train wreck of a season last season, and it could have been avoided if you'd have just approached it in a way that didn't make it clear from the jump. We're not worried about winning every game. Winning is not the most important thing. How ridiculous does that sound now? It is something we heard all the time in November and December and January. How ridiculous does it sound now? You had a must-win game on Friday night. It didn't have to be. Yeah. Do you realize that?
On Thursday night, on Friday night.
Do you realize there is a different scenario where if you just play starter minutes normally, you've got enough wins by the time this week even gets here where you can literally say, hey guys, you're not even flying to Denver. Just stay home. Just stay home. You don't even have to make the trip. We've got this thing locked up. It's just the approach was.
The fans know well in advance that Sunday's game against the Mavs,
all of it.
no one's playing.
All of it could have been avoided.
Yeah.
But they decided it was smart to
So-
not care about winning games in the regular season. That wasn't the priority.
Right.
So this is what you get.
So it brings
Congratulations.
back to the question, the ultimate question, and I'm all for the surprise. I've talked myself into it because hope is a hell of a drug, and I'd rather be excited going into tomorrow than already dreading the potential return to FedEx Forum on a Friday night playing either the Mavs or the Kings. And I won't go as far as you in saying I think the obvious outcome of that game, because it turns into well, in that case, is it even beneficial to advance? I don't think it's a matter of beneficial or not. Like, are they good enough to win the game?
I wouldn't
against
say
the Kings
it's the
or
obvious
Mavs?
result. I would just say it's the most likely result.
I just watched them lose to Sacramento.
Oh, they can lose to anybody.
2 weeks ago.
They can lose to anybody. I'm just saying that if the Grizzlies lose on Tuesday and come back home on Friday, they will be favored in that game.
But do you sit in the camp where, does it change your perspective on the season at large? Taking out the possibility of them beating the Warriors tomorrow, which I just think from a general feeling standpoint, it doesn't change the long scope for this team, but short term, that is a matchup that, just to borrow words from the SEC, it just means more.
Sure.
And it would exercise some demons for this group. But let's say they lose tomorrow, it goes to a must-win situation against either the Kings or the Mavs on Friday. Does it change your perspective if they lose that game versus if they win and at least get to the postseason. Because for me, it does. And I know people are sick of me talking about the economic value of it, so I won't. But I am all for downtown Memphis and what a first-round playoff series brings to the city of Memphis. Yesterday was awesome downtown. So many people. There was a food truck festival. There was Some Like It Hot at the Orpheum. There was the Grizzlies Mavs game. I saw more foot traffic down here than I have seen in months. But I'm more from a basketball standpoint of you have a healthy John Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Desmond Bane. And while they didn't play all the games in the world early in the season, they're playing all the games together now. And if it does not end with at least an appearance in the first round of the playoffs, it feels detrimentally worse to me than, yes, I get it. You keep that draft pick. You can do it with it as you will. Either you use it or you package it to go get something else. So I trust me, I get the value in it. But for me, that feels like the worst case scenario.
I like the win. So my priority would be winning.
Okay.
I want to win Tuesday night. Can't win Tuesday night. I want to win Friday. And then if you win Friday, I want to win the first round series. And yeah, there are feelings that are worse than others. So I think winning tomorrow would be great. Losing tomorrow would feel worse than that. Winning Friday would feel not as good as winning tomorrow night, but losing would be awful. And so on and so forth. But I'm never going to move the goalpost on this. If I'd have told you or asked you in October, just Grizz finish 8th in the standings and then losing the first round of the playoffs, how you feeling? There's no scenario where you would have said that's okay.
Let me borrow words from CJ in our chat question of the day, which felt a little hyperbolic, but for the sake of this exercise. The question was, I think the Grizzlies' regular season was, in honor of Chris Furnicho, fill in the blank sucka. And the first option is an unmitigated disaster.
No, not that.
But if you had asked me in October, going into this season, if the Grizzlies were the 8th seed and lost and got swept in the first round, I would have said that sounds like an unmitigated disaster.
I would just set the disaster bar somewhere different than that.
Okay.
Like the disaster bar is
last season.
Yeah, that was a disaster.
That was an unmitigated disaster.
We have another off-the-court issue that causes this big.
That was an unmitigated disaster.
Yeah, so I would have. I set
an excessive disappointment.
Yeah, disappointing for sure. And I don't care how it ends. If it ends without the Grizzlies in the Western Conference semifinals, I will say that this is a wildly disappointing season that followed a disaster of a season. And, I know that there's things that could happen that would make you go, well, what are you going to do? And I will always circle back to this. If you'd have just done more in the regular season, you wouldn't even have to deal with this. I know we're going to get to a point where people just go, Oklahoma City's awesome. What were you going to do? Not play them. You should
avoid them for as long as possible.
You should have not been playing them. And if you would have just prioritized the regular season, not the way the Philadelphia Eagles prioritized their regular season. I'm not saying it's that important, or the way that Alabama Crimson Tide football team prioritizes their regular season. But if you just prioritize it the way other NBA teams do, just to that degree, whatever that is, then you're not even in this situation. We wouldn't even be having to, measure the levels of disappointment. We'd be talking about something wildly different right now.
What's the levels of excitement?
Yeah.
What an odd, different change.
Yeah.
But instead, I'm grateful to be measuring disappointment levels with you, GP. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Thanks for coming back from the youth baseball tournament.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
There's always another one.
We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll do a little Hot Mess Express, the quarterback situation at the University of Tennessee, some Coachella headlines, and the NBA Iron Men of the season. But does one of these players actually deserve the term of NBA Iron Man? We'll get into it when we come back.
Bane drives. Oh yeah. Close. He hits and the Grizzlies have the lead. Yeah! Jaren with a knockaway. Good defense. Morant attacking, spinning, hanging, and hitting. Let's go!
Shinedown. Dance Kid Dance Tour. Live in Memphis. FedEx Forum, Saturday, August 30th. With special guests, Bush and Morgan Wade. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Shinedown, live in concert. For more, visit shinedown.com.
Grizzlies fans, dunks, dimes, and no looks are great on TV, but nothing compares to catching them IRL. And that starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight in person. From seeing your favorite Grizzlies stars up close to hearing the squeak of the sneakers on the hardwood. Put that jersey collection to use and get tickets at Ticketmaster. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside, Memphis.
The new issue of Slam, the cover dropped, and it is our friend Jaren Jackson Jr. on the cover.
And shout out to you, Lane.
Yeah.
You kept, well, I mean, we knew about it, but you kept this a secret the whole time. So shout out to you for
I wrote
putting
this story.
together.
We did the photo shoot a couple weeks ago here on a Sunday afternoon in the practice court. The Sneak Fest show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
I see people who look like me and were born probably in the same decade as me, watching all of these young people jump into the transfer portal and saying, it's ridiculous. You got to stop thinking about this like it's a normal college experience. It is not. You know what the priority is? Maximize your earning potential for every year of eligibility you have left. That's what this is about now. These are jobs.
The Gary Parrish Show, live on weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Grizz Nation gets set for tip-off 1 hour before every Grizzlies home game with the warm-up show. Get the latest news, notes, and analysis live from courtside at FedEx Forum.
Who's going to be the tougher team that rebounds and prevents second chance opportunities?
Join me, Lang Whitaker, along with Michael Wallace, Jessica Benson, and other personalities from Grind City Media, Memphis, and around the NBA. 1 hour before every home game, live at Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
Chugga, 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 chugga. All aboard!
The Hot Mess Express. Chugga, 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 chugga.
Great job, CJ.
CJ?
I was saying great job genuinely to you. I didn't say great job to Jacob.
Every now and then, you know, I got to be on my Jaren Jackson Jr. cleaning up the messes that some of these other dudes be making, Jacob.
Wow. All right. I stayed off my phone for most of Saturday, which was a very enjoyable experience. But I was listening to the new Valerie June album. I was doing laundry. I was sitting with my thoughts. I was just trying to disconnect. And I finally ended up getting on Twitter like late afternoon. And my eyes just naturally gravitate to like the first 5 tweets have the name Nico in them. And so my brain immediately goes to, what did the Dallas Mavericks do? Like thinking, you know, we've talked so much about Nico Harrison and the trade for Luka Doncic, and so I just assume, no, it's a different Nico. Everybody is talking about now former Tennessee quarterback Nico. It was always really difficult for me. Thank you. But quarterback Nico, who is now no longer a member of the Tennessee Volunteers after he and his team tried to play hardball in an attempt to raise his NIL package. He was previously making $2.4 million, or I should say was making $2.4 million because his team was trying to get him to $4 million. Tennessee wouldn't budge on it. I guess they first brought this up back in January, right before the winter portal opened. Tennessee didn't budge then. Nico explored transfer opportunities, reportedly, allegedly, at least at one other school, which was Oregon, and it was perhaps Dan Lanning who tipped off Josh Heupel that this was even happening in the first place. But ultimately, Nico doesn't show up for practice on Friday. They're continuing to try to get their money. The Tennessee spring game is on Saturday, and everything's leading up to that game. Like, is Nico going to be there? Is he going to be the quarterback? And the answer is no. And he was told to enter the transfer portal. He will now seek a new home in the college football season. The Tennessee Volunteers will be looking for a new quarterback. And there's so much conversation with this on, is this our first holdout of college football? And I continuously go back to the same sentiment over and over and over again at this point. Just make the student athletes, in quotations, what they are. And that is employees. And if you have a collective bargaining agreement for college football players, for college athletes, then you're not dealing with no punishment for not showing up to practice. You're not dealing with the infinite nature of the transfer portal. It solves so much of the things. Although at this point, I think the institution at large and the individual universities have missed the boat to some degree, because if you're an athlete, you have all the leverage right now. Why would you ever want to sign into something new that's going to take away from your opportunities to make money? And I, first and foremost, as long as this is the way that the situation goes, if you are an athlete and you have the chance to go make more money, you do that. You get paid exactly what your worth is, and you maximize that to your greatest ability. But it was an interesting situation in Knoxville over the weekend.
Yeah, man. Hey, everybody did the right thing. Nico, you look around, you say, hey, I got us to the playoffs last year. I'm a playoff quarterback. You got to pay me more than rinky-dink 2.4. And if you're Tennessee, you look around and say, Nico, we were that despite you, dog. Like, no, we're not gonna do that. Nico, I fully believe Nico's going to get $4 million from somebody. Somebody's going to pay him that plus some. Hell, Michigan got a true freshman who's never taken a snap. He's getting 10. Mm-hmm. What are we talking about here? He's absolutely going to get that from somebody. And I just hope that it is somebody my favorite team plays, because I got no faith in Nico Iamaleava as a quarterback. I think you can get that dude at the quarterback position. I wasn't thoroughly impressed, and Tennessee fans will tell you this, and apparently based off the actions from the program, they also sort of showed this. Not really thoroughly blown away by what Nico has been in college so far. Yeah. Maybe he continues to grow and develop and then become something, but Nico right now smells a whole lot like DJU. And it's like, okay, and somebody's there's always going to be a market for that player. I hope like hell he goes to Michigan State. I would love for Michigan State to have that type of quarterback on their team, so Michigan can beat the hell out of them also. Good stuff. And you're right. Just make them sign contracts.
What are we doing?
Make them sign. Once we started getting big money in college football, mid 90s, I think, early 2000s maybe.
This isn't new.
Once we started getting big money in college football, you can throw that student athlete shit out the window for me, dog. Like, they are making billions of dollars for their conferences and hundreds of millions of dollars for their schools. If you're at one of the P4s, specifically if you're at the SEC, which Nico is at, or the Big Ten, hundreds of millions of dollars you're making your university. No, dog. Yeah. So go ahead and scrap that model. Yes. Stop trying to save it and allow for the players to negotiate contracts with universities. That way, if you don't want dudes hopping in the transfer portal, they're there for 2 years, and then hey, at the end of 2 years, I'll either have to decide to keep them or find somebody else. There you go. And people are protected. There it is. Yeah. Problem solved. I don't think coaches, while they'll complain about it, I don't think coaches want to stop it, because sure, your players are hopping in there,
but you can also
you can get in there and grab some stuff. So like, it's one of those things where, hey, look at it.
Fans saying, "Oh, what happened to the game I loved?"
Until your team goes get the player that you want
and changes everything. Yep. Like, it's just an endless cycle. I saw so much. The number of people who suddenly were like, spring games used to mean something. I didn't realize people felt some kind of way about the spring game. I get it. Like, spring games were exciting. When I was at USC, it was always the symbol of the next iteration of what the team was going to look like. There's excitement about that. I get that. But I saw a lot of the sentiment of, we can't even have spring games anymore. We don't even talk about signing day anymore. Everything is about the transfer portal. I can't escape the transfer portal. Well, yeah, it's like the biggest hinger in the sport now. Either your team is successfully utilizing the transfer portal or it's not. And if you are a athlete who happens to play college football, I'm going to try to avoid using the term student athlete at this point in time. But if you are a high-level football playing individual at a university, go get your money. Like, what are you doing? Every coach can leave. Every coach has the opportunity to go get his money. If you are still sitting there thinking, oh, it's so unfair, these kids aren't learning lessons. Well, they're learning a big lesson. This is how the world works.
Everybody can leave the college.
Every single person.
Everybody.
Everybody.
A student can.
Student.
Teachers can. Professors
Teacher,
can.
Professor.
Specialists.
Adjunct.
Presidents.
The damn custodian
chancellors.
can leave. Security can leave. The police chief for whatever.
Provost.
Provost. Everybody can leave for whatever reason they want to. And if somebody offers the provost more money, if the provost goes to the daggum university and says, hey, give me this, and the university says, no, we're done, then the provost can say, all right, I'm out. Bye, I'm finna go make more money someplace else. It doesn't happen like that because the provost is probably under contract.
Yeah.
Probably. And so at the end of the contract, they negotiate, but like sometimes things get squirrely and they dismiss or leave beforehand and they figure it out from there. But yeah, put them under contract, make it a little bit more difficult, or leave it alone and nobody else is getting capped in this sport. Right? Nobody, or at a university. You can make however much money the university wants to pay you. No need for a cap. If you want to go out there and pay $8 million for a top-notch quarterback, knock yourself out. If you're Texas A&M and you got all that oil money floating around,
that's how you want to spend
you want to
it?
say, I'm going to pay $20 million for this left tackle, damn it, do it.
You can.
Don't cap this. Don't do it.
And that goes for anyone.
Yeah,
If you're a
earning
graduate
potential.
of the University of Minnesota and you have an alum who,
program.
I was trying to think of a terrible program. So
terrible
there you go.
Poisoners
But
of
you
water.
have the chance to do it too.
If you
Even
got the
if
money.
you're at the University of Memphis, if somebody
Hey.
wants to keep PJ Haggerty, somebody can get $3 million to do so. Anyway, we'll see how it turns out for both Nico and where he will land, and
if
for
you can't, that means that you probably don't need to be playing at this level of college athletics.
That's a whole different piece of it as it continues to go down that road. All right, we got the NBA Iron Men of the season, the players in the NBA who play all 82 games. I was shocked Chris Paul is on this list. Chris Paul, all 82. Shout out to him. Harrison Barnes, Buddy Hield, Malik Beasley, Jared Allen, Mikal Bridges, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jaden McDaniels.
Did you say Mikal Bridges?
Circle back. Jaden McDaniels, Jalen Green, Julian Champagny, and Bub Carrington. It did bum me out because Jalen Wells was all but, well, I guess he probably would have sat out in the Grizzlies-Mavs game, so that would have taken him off the Ironman. So it ends up not being the case. But Bub Carrington was the only rookie who played all 82 games. He had a game winner for Washington in the Wizards finale yesterday, so a nice ending for him. Now, on that list, as you pointed out, CJ, Mikal Bridges is on that list. And I don't know if you have followed the lore of Mikal Bridges, but he has never missed an NBA game. Since being drafted in 2018, Mikal Bridges has played in every single game, all 7 seasons in the league. Not only has he played in every game, he has been playing more than anyone else over the last couple of years. So minutes-wise, he was first in minutes this season. He was 4th in minutes last season, first the year before that. His streak of 556 consecutive games is pretty great. It's still very, very far away from. Do you know who holds the record for most games played?
Cal Ripken Jr.
In the NBA.
No.
AC Green. 1,192. So he's got a long way to go. But the real question is, should we count Mikal Bridges' Iron Man campaign from this year? Because yesterday, Mikal Bridges checked into the game, committed a foul almost instantly, and then he checked out 6 seconds later, just so he could keep his streak of never missing a game in his NBA career. I appreciate the ingenuity, and let's be clear, I don't care enough to take away his Iron Man streak from him, but it does beg the question, should that count on the we played all 82? If you're in the running for NBA postseason awards, the 65 game threshold? 62, 65? There's a certain number of minutes you have to play in the game in order for that game to count towards your overall game count. I think 6 seconds is a little, like maybe 1 minute, like 60 seconds is the cutoff.
I was going for an Ironman record of my own in the 3rd grade. I was going to get that perfect attendance. And I was sick. I was hobbled. I limped into school. You had to stay till 10.
Okay.
And I was like, 9:50. I don't know if I'm going to make it. And went to the office to like let them know, hey, I'm not going to make it. Give my parents about 15 minutes to get there. And wouldn't you know it, Senior was already there ready to check me out. He's like, yo, you got 10 more minutes, and we're gonna make that work.
And you did it?
And I did.
You had perfect attendance.
I got 3rd grade year. I peaked in the 3rd grade. 3rd grade,
all A's. My lowest score in the 3rd grade was like a 94. All A's, and I got perfect attendance.
What happened?
After that, I was like, nothing changed in my
wait,
life.
This literally didn't matter.
Literal kids, cover your ears. It made my life no better. I was like, why am I busting my ass like this? So I just stopped. I was like, okay, cool. I did it. Nothing changed, so I'm not gonna keep it going. If the NBA wants to step in here and do something about it, they should. They can. 10 minutes for it to count as a full game or something like that. I don't know. But hey,
it's funny.
They didn't do it. They didn't do it, so it counts.
Take advantage. There's
It
no
counts.
rule for now, so it does count. So he will continue. But I will remember if we're still talking about this.
Is this more egregious than the Michael Strahan sack on Brett Favre to give him the single season sack record? Where, for those of you who don't know
egregious.
it, somehow a timeout was called. Brett Favre knew that Strahan was tied for the record. Everybody knew it. Everybody was watching. So Strahan and Favre are talking about something before the next play. They line up, they take the snap. It's supposed to be a run play. The game is over. The Packers are just trying to run out the clock. It's supposed to be a run play, I do believe, to the right. Brett Favre tucks it and then rolls out like he's trying to pass it somehow. Strahan is standing there. Brett Favre falls down. Strahan touches him. It's like, yes, I set the sack record. Wait, what? No, you didn't.
I'll give this a little more credit because the fact that Mikal Bridges played a Tibbs minute cycle and still played every single game of the season. That's got to count as an extra game. That's got to count as
At
extra.
least one extra game.
That's why he leads the league in minutes. So
wait.
I'll take that.
He still leads the league in minutes this year?
Yeah.
Even after that, 6 seconds.
Even after a 6 second, he still ended with the most minutes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But so few players play all 82, as mentioned. So, alas. Coachella weekend 1 was this weekend, and I had a blast. I can't believe they still do this, but you can stream Coachella on YouTube for free, 4K cameras, everything looks great, crispy. I watched a little bit of the Missy Elliott set, but then I turned it off because Missy Elliott's playing Riverbeat, and I wanted to be surprised in case that set list looks anything similar. Glow was there. Lady Gaga had an awesome set. She is so weird, but so creatively awesome, and I love that Lady Gaga's back in the general atmosphere of everything. A little bit of drama happened on Saturday because the headliner on Saturday was Green Day, which makes sense. I think Green Day is one of the most universally known bands ever. Like, at least for our generation, that is a big stretch. But as somebody who loves Green Day, a lot of people know Green Day. Charlie XCX performed before Green Day, and there was a contingency of her fans who felt like she was wrongfully placed and that Charlie XCX should have been the headliner on Saturday. And she herself showed up after her set to an after party wearing a sash that said Miss should be headliner. It was really just her fans making this argument. Everyone else was pushing back like, okay, you're great, you had a great album, I love Brat Summer, but it's Green Day. And I watched Green Day's entire set, crushed. I stayed up until 1 a.m. watching a YouTube stream of Green Day at Coachella on Saturday after we got home from that wedding. I don't know every Green Day song. Like, there's a lot of some of their older stuff, and then their newer stuff hasn't resonated as much. They started with American Idiot, Holiday, Know Your Enemy, Boulevard of Broken Dreams. It was like, 1, 2, 3, 4, hit, and then you're waiting, and you're like, well, I can't go to sleep until I hear Wake Me Up When September Ends, or I can't go to sleep until I hear 21 Guns, and then those play, and then they keep going, and then you're like, well, I hope they end with Good Riddance, and they did. Billy Joel Armstrong is 50, 52, 53. He's 50-something. I cannot get over how old they are. I almost texted you to say that you should have turned it on.
This is the issue with this world today. These children. We've allowed these children to grow up and become grown-ups, and they just completely and totally disrespect everything that existed
I agree.
before them, before their consciousness. They act like we didn't have good anything. And this has been something that has been bothering me for about 2 weeks since the Nicktoons draft. When people were like, oh, these old Nicktoons are trash, blah, blah, blah. Shut your young ass up, damn it. It's a top, grown-ups is, like real grown-ups is talking. Green Day is phenomenal. Green Day has all-time bangers, all-time hits. Charlie XCX, cool.
And they took a stand.
Good. I like Charlie
XCX.
She's fine. Like, not fine, but
she's good.
For what she is now, for this time in music, she is good. She's not a classic yet. I don't think that we can proclaim you let me take that back.
You don't always have to be a classic to be a headliner, let's be clear.
When a classic is coming through, though,
You do.
You do. All right, like you have to be. I don't know what's wrong with these children. They'll argue with me about Jerry Rice being an all-time great football player and wide receiver. They'll argue with me about Rugrats being one of the best cartoons ever made. And it's all because you just weren't alive to see it. We revered when I was a kid. We revered the things that we didn't get to see and we didn't get to experience. And we were saddened that we didn't get to experience the likes of like a Muhammad Ali or Michael Jackson at his height. We weren't out there saying, you know what? Vander Holyfield way better than Ali. We weren't doing that. We weren't out there saying, you know what? Master P way better than Michael Jackson. Who the hell did Michael Jackson perform against? We weren't doing that.
The Beatles? I wanted to learn everything about the Beatles.
We were like, holy hell, Magic Johnson was what? He beat Michael? Magic Johnson must have been good. Wait, there were people before Magic? Oh, all of them must have been good also. It wasn't no. The only good are the people playing and doing things right now. Stop that. What's the generation behind us? Z? Yeah, stop that, you damn Gen Zers. I can't stand they little young asses. Shut the hell up when grown folks is talking.
Proud millennial show right here. Never been prouder to be a millennial. Anyway, Coachella Weekend 2 is next week, so if you have any interest, Post Malone was the third headliner.
I forgot we had one of those people down there. I need a slur for Gen Z.
The slur is Gen Z.
You don't know ball. You know ball that you've seen with your own two eyes, but you do not have the appropriate appreciation
Context
for everything
matters.
that happened before you. Get out of here, young asses.
All right. That'll do it for today's show. Happy Monday, everyone. Tomorrow, guess what? The postseason's here. It happens fast because we got to get through the play-in game so we can start the NBA playoffs. We'll talk a little bit more about all the other matchups around the NBA tomorrow, and of course, a heavy dose of Grizzlies Warriors preparation. Mike Wallace will join us. Believe he will be on the road with the team for that game. So we'll catch up with you all tomorrow. Have a great start to your week. Have a hunky-dory start to your week. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
What do you think my father could get right now if he tried to trade?
To trade you?
Yes.
A sack of beans?
He should have just gave me up in the third grade.
And like maybe one of the beans is magical, so that would be like a win. But most likely they're just beans.